Good morning, everyone. I'm doing much better. I know you can't see me, that's on purpose. I just left the tape over the camera, but I hope you can hear me well. Um, I just want to explain when you see me, like when I was in my last video, I had just gotten Marvin, and I don't adapt well to change. Not all of the time, especially if it brings up past things. Um, you know, losing my animals, my fur family is really difficult for me. And so, you know, it kind of gave me a little bit of a rough time. I wasn't able to eat well and or sleep because I had a new baby, and every time he would cry, I'd wake up from my sleep, and just like when you have a brand new baby. um, I made a little video uh, talking about because I didn't know what I was going to do with the channel, and you can see Marvin there. But the reason why I turned on my camera is because I wanted to talk about animals and soul school and how they fit into things in the reincarnation cycle, and how our souls as well spiral through these different things in creation. I truly believe that we start off, you know, even as the smallest of life forms, and cycle up through until we're animals and then we become human. I feel like that this is part of the consciousness ascension experience, and that's what I called it in my book. Now, when I mentioned that, I always mention that I'm not trying to sell it. Um, it's actually not for sale at this time, and maybe never will be. But when I was writing my book, that's what I called it, consciousness ascension, and I liked that. So, um, in my life, I've had debates with certain people about animals having souls or not, and I believe 100% that they do. They have emotions, feelings, thoughts, and they're very intuitive. Now, in the Secret Teachings of All Ages, it talks about this, and I recommend reading that book. It's by Manly P. Hall. I didn't really read it in there, so I can't quote exactly where it is, but you can see even on the front cover in the giant tree of life that there's animals in the tree of life. So let's start off with this. Whenever I would lose one of my babies to the next life, because I planned on taking a picture, I go all over the place, I know. I planned on taking this picture that it was in my old apartment, but it was just before we moved and just before Mr. passed away. And Mr. had a medicine that helped him have smoother bowel movement because his kidneys were failing, and the kidneys will take water away from the bowel and make it very dry and difficult for him to pass stool. So he had this stuff called Tasty Paste. And like I was saying, in my old apartment, when I gave him his Tasty Paste on his plate, he ate it but ended up licking some of it into the shape of a butterfly. Now we know butterflies symbolize transformation. And before I sat down I decided to share my thought process with you, that's what I was saying to myself, about that. He did that, and that part of the cycle as we're born, death is part of it too. A beginning and an end. And there always is that. Like I was saying, there's always two opposing forces like life and death, dark and light, good, evil, all of that, red and blue, body, soul. Because these things are very connected, even though people kind of see them at opposite ends. A really good representation of this transformation and the topic of death that I really enjoyed was in Neil Gaiman's Sandman with the character of death. It's very deep and very beautiful, and I enjoyed its interpretation. But Mr. knew that he was going to pass, and he was never a lap cat. He never, ever, ever laid on my lap his entire life. He was 15. For the last year of his life, he laid on my lap every moment he could. I'm going to try not to get emotional, but at the end, he could only go about 10 steps without being exhausted. He had a runny nose. He was breathing deeply. He couldn't eat anymore. He stopped eating for me. And he was even having a hard time peeing. So I made the best decision I could to keep him from suffering and brought him to the vet. He didn't want to leave. He didn't. But the doctor told me that within a few days I would find him on the floor and he would have suffered in pain. So I made the best decision I could for him. And I sent him to heaven. And it was one of the hardest things I have ever done. I will never forget the moment that he left the world. I tried not to watch. Like I was with him. But just the moment that it happened, I happened to be looking. And I think that was meant to be. The light leaves the eyes. Like the energy leaves the body and it goes somewhere else. It's transformation. Energy doesn't disappear, it transfers. And so the vet tech actually held me, and we just stood there because I was in shock, and she just held me, and it was really nice. And then I gave him one last pet and one last kiss, and I left. Now, a short time after, and this happened exactly with my dog who passed away, Dixie Doo. She passed away September 23rd. It was right at the summer or the fall solstice, whatever that one is. I forget right now, but right in that time of 2020, September 23rd, 2020. And the same thing with her is that I had a dream. And I dreamt that I walked. It was a very lucid astral dream. It felt very real. And I walked into my bedroom, and Dixie was on my bed, just like she always was. And I was so excited to see her. And I was like, oh, my Doo. And I walked over, and I was patting her, and I was giving her kisses and loves. And then she just disappeared. Poof. From underneath me. Like, because I had bent over above her, over the bed where she was always laid. She used to sleep right beside me in the bed on top of the blanket and put her head on the pillow and everything. Every night when I went to bed, all my animals would come to bed with me. I'd call them. Bagheera, Sweet Cheeks, and Dixie would all come to bed with me. That's why they were in bed with me the night that I saw that being in my room on January 15th, 2015. And, so go back to my dream. So she disappeared. And I was like, oh, where'd you go? And then I turned to my left, and there she was on the bedroom floor, just standing there looking at me. And she kind of had a sad look on her face. Like you can tell when your animals are sad. I don't know. I can anyway. And I'm very, very empathic, and I can feel things, and they can too. And so I was like, I looked at her, and she was looking at me with that kind of look on her face because she knew that I was about to realize. Because honestly, after Dixie passed, I wasn't with her when she died because I didn't know she was going to die. Dixie had PANIS, which is a autoimmune disease or disorder, that was actually brought on. It's hereditary a lot of the times in German Shepherds and Greyhounds. And she had both of that breed in her. But a lot of the times, and I mean, you can debate me on it or not, but I believe in the vet was also, because we stopped vaccinating her for this reason, that it can be brought on by vaccines. So, anyway, yeah, I didn't even know she was ill. And her panis, it attacked her immune system, attacked her whole body, and she was gone within 24 hours. So I got her to the emergency hospital, and they couldn't save her. And I was too upset, and I was upsetting her, and and so I left. They said she'd probably need to stay, and I left, and she died without me. And so that's something that I've carried with me, and I'm trying to like reconcile inside with that. That's always going to be something that's difficult. I remember the last moment that I saw her as she watched me as I left, and that's so hard, but I did not know she was going to die. So, So the reason why I mentioned that is because after she died, I had a really, really hard time accepting her death. And the lady that helped me get her to the vet, I kept calling her, and I called the vet. I really wasn't in a good way. And I would ask them, like, is she really gone? Like, you guys didn't just take her away from me? It's kind of embarrassing. I don't feel, because I'm not feeling it right now. Like, I'm not embarrassed, because clearly I'm telling you, but it's difficult, let's say, to tell you that, and inside my head, I thought that they took her from me. And I thought that maybe they thought that I couldn't look after her properly or something, and that they, they wanted to give her to a better place. I don't know. I can't tell you why I was feeling like that, but for a whole year after, I was like that, and I couldn't sleep either because I wasn't used to her not being there, and I didn't feel safe anymore. But sorry, I digress so badly. But yeah, so she had disappeared in this astral dream. And I was like, oh, where'd you go? I turned around, and she had that sad look on her face. And I was like, oh. And I know I said it this way, but I said, oh, you're a ghost now. But a spirit. You know what I mean? But that sometimes, like, that's what I call it. And all of this isn't easy for me to deal with. Like, yes, it's been something that's been part of my life always. Like, I've always been connected with the spirit realm. But, yeah, and so I told her, oh, you're a ghost now. And I believe that because I don't think I would have been able to handle seeing her in a dream until that point. And it was almost a year that I struggled with that. And I believe that, I had to learn that it's important to calm down for the ones that you love and be there for them. That was a lesson that I needed to learn so that I would never leave again. Like, they even told me, it's okay, it's fine, you can leave. And no, I should have listened to my intuition and stayed, but I didn't. So that's something I have to pay for. But right. So Dixie showed me that she was a spirit, and then the same thing with Mister, but it happened very soon after he passed. And the thing about these dreams is that when I was touching them, I could feel their warmth. I could feel their soft fur. It felt exactly like when they were alive. I could feel Dixie give me a kiss on the face. Like, it feels real. And in a way, it is real. Like, it's energy and an energetic body, but it's still a body. And so with Mister, he did the same thing. He was on his chair that he always loved. And, oh, just a second. I gotta, is he gonna be, you want your thing on, Marvin? Here, buddy. put it back on. Okay. I have a toy that runs for about 15 minutes. It's called the Cat's Meow. I'll show it to you. I actually made a video with little Marvin. But like I was talking about how I didn't know what to do with my channel or whatever. I might just post it just because so you can see little Marvin and you see Salem and everything. I can't really remember everything that I talked about. It was a lot of like just random rambling, I think, but whatever. Anyway, holy cow. So Mr. was on his special chair. And he loved that. It's like a wicker bar stool type of chair, and I had this really soft, fluffy blanket. It's still there. I haven't washed it or anything. And he was on his chair, and then he in my astral dream, and I seen him, and I'm like, oh, my baby. And then he showed me, like he almost did it like the Cheshire Cat. Like he disappeared enough, but you could still see his eyes, and then he reappeared as soon as I started to panic to see him disappear. Like, and then I got it, and I was like, oh, you're showing me that you're a spirit, you know? Yeah. And it was really beautiful, and I got to touch him and his warm fur and his soft little face, and, you know, because he had such a soft, warm, fluffy face and fluffy body. He was such a beautiful boy, and he loved me so, so much. My animals, those little souls, loved me more than anyone else in this world, unconditionally, always, no matter what. And so, after they passed, each one of them, after Bagheera passed away, after Dixie passed, after Mr., because I've read this in my lifetime, like I can't remember exactly where, but I've read it where animals go through the reincarnation cycle too, and that they will become people. And so I made a wish and a prayer for each of them that they get to reincarnate as people, but when the world is much better. I don't want them to have a life like mine. Like, I want them to have a good mom and dad and siblings and have a really beautiful life. All of them, you know? A really beautiful, happy, healthy life as a human being, you know? As a new soul and a human being. I want that for them. And I believe that the more you interact and you spend time with them and you talk to them and you help them evolve as a soul and a consciousness, because you might, I mean, I've heard people, sometimes it hurts me, you know, they think they're being funny about it, like calling their cat stupid or blah, 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 and this and that, and I see how little they interact with them and how they treat them, and they're throwing it off the table and things like that, and, you know, this is a soul, this is a consciousness, and if you spend time with them, and you give that effort, talk to them, and, it helps them. It helps them evolve in consciousness. Mr. was so, so smart. Salem is extremely emotionally intelligent and very smart. And so was Dixie. Mr. was emotionally intelligent too. But, like, I'm thinking about Marvin because little Marvin's only 9 weeks old. And he's giving me so much love. The first night, jumps up onto the bed the first time when I'm in the bed, purring and doing the little pitter paws thing where they knead the bed, and he curled up next to me, gives me so much love. This little fella, he's a gift from God, and he looks like Mr., and it's really comforting. And so I truly believe that through caring for them and loving them, that you help them evolve in consciousness. And overall, it helps, you know, the collective of souls, you know. So, I didn't even choose Marvin. I didn't even know what Marvin looked like. There was an ad on Kijiji. There was a couple of them for free kittens, and a couple of them were $25, and that's fine, you know. because it's almost $300 to adopt from the shelters, and I just don't have it. And so when I go back to work, hopefully, I'm hoping I'll be able to, then my financial status will improve. But, I'll still be able to take care of Marvin. And I already have a way to get him fixed and everything at a cheaper rate. And it's not like a crappy place. It's just this program that helps neuter animals at a cheaper discounted rate for people with low income. So anyway, I've got little Marvin, but I didn't know what he was going to look like. And because she had tiny little pictures, and they were just little teeny tiny fluffs when she took the pictures. And she was putting the ad like a week before they're ready to go. And I didn't know which kitten I was going to get, and I couldn't even tell what they looked like. And lo and behold, I think that's the term, he looks like Mister. And he's gentle, and he's kind, and he's intelligent. And so right now he's playing with that toy. It's like it spins around underneath a little mat. It's got a little stick. I tied a tiny piece of rope like to it. I'll show it to you, but it helps improve their hunting skills. And it goes for about 15 minutes, so you can like press the button and it'll entertain them. Like if you're going to work and say you've got a needy cat or whatever, you can press the button and they'll play with it for about 15 minutes. I think it goes for, maybe a bit longer, I don't know. But yeah, and he's over there playing. But yeah, he looks like Mister. He's very comforting. He's fluffy like Mister was. He's got similar type of fur, a nice fluffy tail, and it's good. So I just wanted to share that with you. That, they reincarnate too, and they go to the spirit realm too, and you will see them again. When you go to the spirit realm, you might even see them in your dreams, in your astral dreams, because I believe, and I've always felt this way, that our souls travel when we sleep. I didn't quite understand it fully, but I knew that I was going places. I just didn't understand what it was, Like I'd laugh. I wrote in my book about how I'd run away from soul school. I was a naughty student, and they'd be chasing me down, like, get back here, and I'd be like, see you later. I'd jump off a balcony and fly away. But this is astral, right? Like, and everybody does this. This is part of our way of existence, I guess. Spirit and physical body and spirit. They can be connected, but also separate. Because you go into many bodies with the same energy, the same consciousness. Yeah. So at one time, you were probably an animal. That's why sometimes when you're young, you'll be drawn to certain animals, I believe that you are possibly reincarnated from that. You're drawn to those things, Yeah. So, I think I'll go back to sleep for a little bit now. I finished my tea, and I feel better a little bit that I talked about that, and I'll make another video where you can see me, and I just have to get a little bit better, a little bit more rest, a little bit more food into me. I had a big meal last night, so it's all good. But yeah, so now I have little Marvin the Miracle, Marvin the Martian, and I will probably just upload both of these videos one after the other so that you can see Marvin and hear my thoughts about the channel. So, like I said, when I get like that, I almost call it destabilization, because I feel like, I'm on shaky ground, I guess, unsure of things, unsure if I can do it, whatever. If I can take losing another baby, falling in love and losing another baby again like that. But I can. There's a lot of animals right now that are in the shelters, and a lot of litters of kittens, and If my home can accommodate one more soul, and I can, then I will, because that's the right thing to do, and I can give him a beautiful life. So that's what I plan to do. Oh, and there's like a squirrel or a mouse or something outside underneath the steps, and Salem was trying to get him. Salem killed his first mouse. I didn't know. I also have a pest repellent out there because mice can carry like diseases. I don't want him to get sick. But he killed his first mouse and he was so proud of himself. He did the funniest meow when I noticed. Because he was outside, I thought he was chasing around a leaf, but it ended up being a mouse. It was just a small mouse. Anyway, so there's something out there under the stairs, and he wants to go out there and get it. Thank God I noticed. Because I don't want to, like, I know that's his natural instinct, but I also, like I said, don't want him to get sick, and that's cruel. You know, like, ugh. So, I don't want him to kill anything. Poor little fellows. I hope he's not stuck under the stairs. I brought Salem back in so that, he can escape somehow. I'll check if he's still in there later. I even feel bad about killing flies. Yeah, yeah. I'll kill a fly sometimes and I'll hear God on the inside of me be like, why did you do that? Why couldn't you just let it live? It only had 24 hours, stuff like that. I feel really bad about it. So, I mean, okay, let me leave you with this. My mother, my adopted mother, used to tell me that God's not real. I knew different. She would say God's inside of you, and that is true, but it's also outside of you. There's always inner and outer, right? There's a really good documentary series. I'm pretty sure it's called Inner and Outer Worlds. I will try to link it in the description below. Always check that. I didn't do it to my last video, but this one, check that out. I know I've linked that before, but Inner and Outer Worlds is really, really good. Really good. It's actually on Amazon Prime. But I watched it way before then. I watched it on YouTube when, it was in its early stages. It's just like an independent documentary type of thing. Pretty sure. So yeah. I hope you have a good day. Thank you very much for listening to me. I told myself I'm only going to do a 10-minute video. Yeah, right. It never works out like that. So I really appreciate you listening. And I hope you found value and, what's the other word? Use from what I've said today. There. Take care, everybody. Be well. Bye.